Good morning, everyone. Leviticus chapter 4 and 5 tayo, guys. And Matthew 24, verse 29 to 51. Basa. The sin offering. The Lord said to Moses, say to the Israelites, when anyone sin unintentionally, nilapag ko, guys. And this what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands. If the anointed priest sins bring guilt on the people, he must bring to the Lord a young bull without defect as a sin offering for the sin he has committed. He is to present the bull at the entrance to the tent of meeting before the Lord. He is to lay his hand on its head and slaughter it before the Lord. Then the anointed priest shall take some of the bull's blood and carry it into the tent of meeting. He is to dip his finger into the blood and sprinkle some of it 7 times before the Lord in front of the curtain of the sanctuary. The priest shall then put some of the blood on the horns of the altar of fragrance and incense that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. The rest of the bull's blood. Nagana na ba tayo? The rest of the bull's blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering at the entrance of the tent meeting. He shall remove all the fat from the bowl of the sin offering, the fat that covers the inner parts, or is connected to them, both kidneys, with the fat on the near the loins, and the covering of the liver, which he will remove with the kidneys. Just as the fat is removed from the ox, sacrificed as a fellowship offering, then the priest shall burn them on the altar of burnt offering, but the hide of the bull and all its flesh, as well as the head and legs, the inner parts and offal, that is all the rest of the bull, he must take outside the camp to a place ceremonial clean, where the ashes are thrown, and burn it in a wood fire on the ash heap. Ang galing, no? Lahat talaga may instruction sa kanila kung anong gagawin doon sa animal. If the whole Israelite community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, even though the community is unaware of the matter, they are guilty. So kahit unintentional yung sin, guys, guilty pa rin tayo. When they become aware of the sin they committed, the assembly must bring a young bull as a sin offering and present it before the tent of meeting. Ulit sa verse 14. When they become aware of the sin they committed, the assembly must bring a young bull as a sin offering and present it before the tent of meeting. The elders of the community are to lay their hands on the bull's head before the Lord, and the bull shall be slaughtered before the Lord. Then the anointed priest is to take some of the bull's blood into the tent of meeting. He shall dip his finger into the blood and sprinkle it before the Lord 7 times. Pareho lang dito sa taas, guys. 7 times in front of the curtain. He is to put some of the blood on the horns of the altar that is before the Lord in the tent of meeting. The rest of the blood he shall pour out at the base of the altar of burnt offering at the entrance to the tent of meeting. He shall remove all the fat from it and burn it on the altar, and do with this bull, just as he did with the bull of the sin offering. In this way the priest will make atonement for them, and they will be forgiven. Then he shall take the bull outside the camp and burn it as he burned the first bull. This is the sin offering for the community. When the leader sins unintentionally and does what is... So, yung una, priest, yung sumunod community, sumunod naman, leaders naman ito. Sa verse 22, the leader sins unintentionally. Kinabisado eh. The leader sins unintentionally. and does what is forbidden in any of the community of the Lord his God, he is guilty. When he is made aware of the sin he committed, he must bring as his offering a male goat without defect, a pag-leader male goat. He is to lay his hand on the goat's head and slaughter it in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar and burnt offering, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. Meron mo nung araw, kung napakarami yung nagkasala, edi ganun ka rin karaming dadalhin yung animal dito. Kundi goat. Ano pa ba yun? May rams pa yata. Asa na tayo? He is to lay his hand on the goat's head and slaughter it at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered before the Lord. It is a sin offering. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. He shall burn all the fat on the altar as he burned the fat of the fellowship offering. In this way the priest will make atonement for the man's sin, and he will be forgiven. If a member of the community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, he is guilty. When he is made aware of the sin he committed, he must bring as his offering for the sin he committed a female goat without defect. He is to lay his hand on the head. So ito naman yung member ng community. Dati ba ano dito? If the whole Israelite community pala. If the whole Israelite community. Tapos ito naman, if a member of the community sins unintentionally and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, he is guilty. Sa verse 27 yan guys. When he is made aware of the sin he committed, he must bring as his offering for the sin he committed a female goat without defect. He is to lay his hand on the head of the sin offering and slaughter it at the place of the burnt offering. Then the priest takes some of the blood with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base of the altar. He shall remove all the fat, just as the fat is removed from the fellowship offering, and the priest shall burn it on the altar as an aroma pleasing to the Lord. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him, and he will be forgiven. Wait lang guys. Commercial. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him, and he will be forgiven. Verse 22 tayo. If he brings a lamb as his sin offering, he is to bring a female without defect. Pag lamb, guys, female ang tapos walang defect. He is to lay his hand on its head and slaughter it for sin offering at the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. Then the priest shall take some of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it on the horns of the altar of burnt offering, and pour out the rest of the blood at the base. Pabalik-balik lang naman to guys. Depende kung sino yung nagkakasala. Kung ano, may naka-assign na animal para dalhin nila. He shall remove all the fat, just as the fat removed from the lamb of the fellowship offering, and the priest shall burn it on the altar, on top of the offerings made to the Lord by fire. In this way the priest will make atonement for him for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven. Chapter 5 na tayo guys. If a person sins because he does not speak up when he hears a public charge to testify regarding something he has seen or learned about, he will be held responsible. Or if a person touches anything ceremonially unclean, whether the carcasses of unclean wild animals or of unclean livestock or of unclean creatures that move along the ground, even though he is unaware of it, he has become unclean and is guilty. Grabe naman eh. Napakahigpit ng batas na to. Sa verse 2 guys, pag nahawakan mo lang daw. Or if he touches human uncleanness, anything that would make him unclean, even though he is unaware of it, when he learns it, he will be guilty. When he learns of it, he will be guilty. Or if a person thoughtlessly takes an oath to do anything, whether good or evil, in any matter one might carelessly swear about, even though he is unaware of it, in any case, when he learns of it, he will be guilty. O, wag na kayo mag-swear. When anyone is guilty in any of these ways, he must confess it. Oh, kaya pala may confession. When anyone is guilty in any of these ways, he must confess in what way he has sinned. And as a penalty of the sin he has committed, he must bring to the Lord a female lamb or goat from the flocks as a sin offering, and the priest shall make atonement of him for his sin. Kaya pala magko-confess ka talaga ng kasalanan mo guys. Tapos magdala ka ng female lamb or female goat from the flocks. If he cannot afford a lamb, he is to bring 2 doves. Pag hindi mo raw kaya yung lamb, kasi may kamahalan talaga yan guys, 2 doves na lang yan, or 2 pigeons, to the Lord as a penalty for his sin, one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. He is to bring them to the humihingal na. He is to bring them to the priest, who shall first offer the one for the sin offering. He is to wring its head from its neck, not severing it completely, and is to sprinkle some of the blood of the sin offering against the side of the altar. The rest of the blood must be drained out at the base of the altar. It is a sin offering. The priest shall then offer the other as a burnt offering in the prescribed way, and make atonement for him for the sin he has committed. So, mas madali-dali dalhin yung dove tsaka pigeon. Prescribe and make atonement for him for the sin he has committed, and he will be forgiven. If, however, he cannot afford 2 doves or 2 young pigeons, he is to bring as an offering for his sin a tenth of an ephah. Anong ephah? Of vine flour for a sin offering. He must not put oil or incense on it because it is a sin offering. O sa flour na lang tayo. Parang ikaw yung nagkasala. He is to bring it to the priest, who shall take a handful of it as a memorial portion and burn it on the altar on top of the offerings made to the Lord by fire. It is a sin offering. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him for any of these sins he has committed, and he will be forgiven. The rest of the offering will belong to the priest, as in the case of the grain offering. The guilt offering. The Lord said to Moses, when a person commits a violation and sins unintentionally in regard to any of the Lord's holy things, he is to bring to the Lord as a penalty a ram from the flock, one without defect, and of the proper value in silver, according to the sanctuary shekel. It is a guilt offering. He must make restitution for what he has failed to do in regard to the holy things, a defect of the value to that, and give it all to the priest, who will make atonement for him with the ram as a guilt offering, and he will be forgiven. If a person sins and does what is forbidden in any of the Lord's commands, even though he does not know, he is guilty, and he will be held responsible. He is to bring to the priest as a guilt offering a ram from the flock, one without defect and of the proper value. In this way, the priest will make atonement for him for the wrong he has committed unintentionally, and he will be forgiven. It is a guilt offering. He has been guilty of wrongdoing against the Lord. Ay, ang dami na. kung sa panahon natin ngayon. Lipat na tayo sa New Testament. Wait lang guys. Napakahigpit ng mga batas, no? Pero mo sa dami ng batas na yan, tas ngayon yung mambabatas namin gagawa pa rin ng batas. Doble-doble ang dami na. Walang katapos ang gawa ng batas. Sa batas pa lang ni Moses, ang dami-dami na. Matthew 24. Nasaan na yung ano? Matthew 24. Sana tayo? 29 ba yun, guys? Nilapag ko yung cellphone, hindi ko na alam kung saan ko nilagay. Ah, 29. 1 to 28 kahapon, edit 29. 24, 29 to 251. Kala ko pa ngayon na 29 to 251 lang pala to guys eh. Sorry, ngayon lang tiningnan. February 8, 2021. Basa. Immediately after the distress of those days, maano na naman yung buhok ko sa aking mukha. Yan ang nakaka-allergy sa akin, yung buhok. Kaya kailangan talaga magupitan na. Ginupitan pa naman yan mag-isa. Tingnan mo, hindi pantay. Immediately after the distress of those days, sa verse 29 na tayo ng chapter 24 guys, Matthew 24, 29 to 51. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the heavenly bodies will be shaken. Hala. Magiging darkened daw yung sun, tapos yung moon hindi magbibigay ng liwanag, tapos yung mga stars babagsak from the sky, tapos yung mga heavenly bodies natin maaalog. At the time the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and all the nations. Sa verse 30, at that time the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and all the nations of the earth will mourn. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet. Sa verse 31 guys. Sundan nyo ako kasi namali-mali na yung mata ko. Nakita nyo naman may diferensya yan. And he will send his angels with a loud trumpet call, and they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, magpasa din kayo eh. Huwag nyo asahan yung aking mata. And they will gather his elect from the four winds. Inulit ko ha. And they will gather his elect from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. Verse 32, now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, Makati kasi yan pagka umaano sa mukha ko, yung buhok ko na yan. Kaya kailangan mo tanggalin. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see all these things, you know that it is near, right at the door. I tell you the truth, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. Father God, kailan ba yan nangyari? Pwede ba huwag na yung mangyari sa generation namin? Sana tapos na yan. Sana panahon pa yan ni Jesus noon. Just tells about remaining watchful. Siyempre, sino ba naman magugusto guys ng nang babagsak yung mga stars? Siyempre, hindi mo nagugustuhin yan. No one knows about the day of hour, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father, as it was the days of Noah. So it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Or in the days before the flood, people were eating. Ay, naku, Diyos ko Lord. Yung aking kasi, maatake na naman. Ganito talaga guys. Ibig sabihin, pinapahinto na tayo. Diba? Verse 37. 36 pala. No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. So, yung Ama lang ang makakaalam yan. As it was in the days of Noah, nung panahon ni Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark, and they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. Kaya nga sabi ko guys kung tutuusin, ang kantayo ni Noah, kasi sila nilang yung natira nung panahon na yun diba? Pero laging binabanggit sa Bible, Israelites, panahon na yun ni Jacob. Si Jacob kasi is Israelites. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be in the fold, one will be taken, and the other left. 2 women will be grinding with a handmill, one will be taken, and the other left. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him. Who then is the faithful and wise servants, whom the master has put in charge of the servants in his household to give them their food at the proper time? I will be good for that servant whose master finds him doing so when he returns. I tell you the truth, he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But suppose that servant is wicked and says to himself, my master is staying away a long time, and he then begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with drunkards. The master of the servant will come on a day. The master of the servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he is not aware of. He will cut him to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Ayan. Yung bang kapwa mo servant pero malupit pa sa master niya. Bye-bye everyone. God bless.